Welcome back to the Moose 1055. Grant here with you in the heart of Huntsville. I enjoy this time of the morning as I get to have some interesting conversations with people from our own backyard and beyond, and this morning is no exception to that rule. I'm very fortunate to be joined by Patrick Brown. Patrick Brown has been practicing for over 20 years. He has been voted into Best Lawyers Canada and Lexpert, and also a member of the Personal Injury Alliance. And this morning we'll be talking about the serious situation with concussions. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Patrick Brown to Wake Up Muskoka. How you doing this morning, Patrick?
Good morning, Grant. I'm doing great. Looks like a lovely day out there.
Oh, it's beautiful. And first of all, I want to thank you for taking the time. I know you're very busy. And we're talking about concussions this morning. And I just wanted to ask you, how significant is the risk of serious injuries from skiing or snowboarding?
Grant, there's no doubt. I'm up there all the time with my family, my kids, and we all ski. And my two daughters snowboard, and it's a great winter pastime for families, and definitely should be encouraged. There's huge overall benefits, as you know, associated with a fit and active lifestyle. So from that standpoint, it's great to do these sports, but as any sport, you do have to ensure that you reduce the risk of injuries, because injuries do happen. And believe it or not, where we're seeing more and more parks having terrain parks, you got slope-style events, you got jumps, rails, all kinds of stuff that's happening, and it's making the experience funner for younger people. It's got an element of risk in it, but at the same time, you got to be smart about that risk, because we do know with like snowboarding and alpine skiing, that when it comes down to emergency attendances for these winter activities, they come second and third as the leading cause for having to attend at an emergency department.
Now, if someone was to wear a helmet in these sports before they head out to do these sports, whether it be skiing, snowboarding, skateboarding in the summer months, whatever it may be, a helmet could make a huge difference. How much difference do you feel like a helmet actually does make?
Helmets significantly reduce the risk of head injuries, are less likely to have a head injury. Studies show that there's been a greater reduction in the severity of head injuries, especially with kids 13 and younger, if they're wearing a helmet. And that some even shows up to a reduced risk up to 35%.
Wow.
So it's significant. You got to wear the helmet.
Now, if a child is unfortunate to suffer a concussion, what are some of the things that can be done? What are the next steps that should be taken?
If they have a concussion, the first and foremost thing is it's imperative that the kid get the proper medical attention. Get a medical doctor to assess your kid and make sure everything's okay. So that's first and foremost. I think a lot of the researchers and the doctors would tell you that have been involved in research, when somebody does have a concussion, it's treated with what's called brain rest. And it's really to avoid injuries that can possibly have long-lasting impacts on the child. So brain rest, I think they'll tell you, is one of the treatment facilities when somebody does have a concussion. But no matter what, get to a doctor.
And if a child has suffered that concussion or even more of a serious head injury, what could be done as far as legal aspects?
Legal aspects, there's no doubt there's a responsibility of not only kids to wear their helmets and protect themselves, but parents to make sure their kids are wearing helmets, but also take certain steps to avoid these types of head injuries. But at the same time, let's not forget that we've got a lot of profits being made by operators of these ski hills and snowboard terrain parks, and they have a responsibility too to make sure that access is limited. We know that children will try to do things, have a misapprehension of the risk involved, and try things that are a bit crazy. And you do need some protection. You need limited access. You need some assessments of people attending on the more larger features. And so that all falls into part to reduce risk and risk management. So when those steps aren't being taken, and somebody gets hurt as a result of that, yes, it can be in part the parent's fault, it can be in part the child's fault, but at times, too, sometimes it falls upon the operator.
Thank you so much for your time this morning, Patrick. If you have questions or concerns or would like some more information about this, always feel free to visit www.pialaw.ca.